The 2025 Invictus Games in Vancouver were supposed to end with a massive, emotional closing ceremony. Instead, what did we get? A half-empty stadium, forced enthusiasm, and a desperate attempt to make the event seem more exciting than it actually was. Despite all the hype, the audience just didn't show up. You'd think with performances from Jelly Roll, Bare Naked Ladies, and The War and Treaty, the place would be packed, right? Nope. It turns out, even a lineup of well-known artists couldn't fill the seats. Prince Harry did his best to sound heartfelt, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was practically glowing while praising him. But talking about the crowd, let's just say the energy in the room was about as lively as a library on a Monday morning. But don't worry, while the stadium may have been lacking in excitement, there was still plenty of action happening elsewhere. Where, you ask? On Meghan Markle's Instagram, of course. Instead of the focus being on the athletes, the Games somehow turned into a PR campaign for the Duchess. While veterans were competing and pushing their limits, Markle's social media team was busy flooding the internet with carefully edited pictures of her. Because obviously, the real purpose of this event was to showcase her latest outfits and glowing smile. People couldn't help but notice. Is this about the veterans, or is it just another Meghan Markle promo tour? One attendee reportedly asked. It was a fair question. While the athletes were giving their all, the media was more focused on Markle's Instagram updates than on the actual competition. Funny how that works. And speaking of media coverage, there wasn't much of it. Why? Because access was restricted. In past years, journalists had more freedom to cover the Games, interview athletes, and capture real emotional moments. But this time, things were different. It was almost as if the event organizers were more interested in controlling the narrative than actually letting people see what was going on. Why let the press do their job when you can just curate everything for social media? Some critics joked. Then there's the budget. The Invictus Games are supposed to be about supporting veterans. So why did it feel like more money was spent on celebrity appearances than on actual veteran programs? Someone, somewhere, thought it was a great idea to throw piles of cash at a closing ceremony that most people didn't even bother attending. Because what veterans really need is an expensive concert, right? One person sarcastically remarked. And it's not just about the wasted money, it's about what the Games have turned into. The Invictus Games were originally created to honor wounded veterans, to give them a stage to showcase their resilience and strength. But now it feels like a Hollywood event with a few athletes thrown in as background decoration. One veteran in attendance summed it up perfectly. I thought this was supposed to be about us, but it feels like we're just extras in someone else's show. It's not hard to see why people are losing interest. When the Games first started, they had a powerful message. They were about the athletes, their struggles, their victories, and their inspiring stories. But in 2025, the Games felt more like an overproduced spectacle. A handful of celebrities, some polished speeches, and a closing ceremony that was supposed to be inspiring but ended up being, well, awkward. And let's not forget about ticket sales. The event was hyped as unmissable, yet somehow plenty of tickets were still available at the last minute. In fact, if you waited long enough, you could grab a seat at a serious discount. It's almost like people didn't want to pay full price for an event that was all talk and no substance, one observer noted. So what's the big lesson here? The Invictus Games used to be about something real, but this year they felt more like a PR stunt. Less about the veterans, more about the celebrities. What are your views on this? Do let us know in the comments section below.